Right here.
Oh, really? You know, the first thing I'm going to say is congratulations to the newly engaged couple.
I'm listening to her.
If this makes them happy, especially the woman that dropped down on one knee and the man that accepted the proposal, then I'm happy for them. But for me personally, I know that at any time that I would ever consider dropping down on one knee
This Bree
or having the audacity to
sound like
propose
you.
to a man,
Talk.
just know I got a plan. And I'm about to see all the way through. And when I say I got a plan, this is what I'm talking about. I'm trying to secure the mother bag, AKA the insurance policy. I'm thinking about generational wealth. I'm thinking about my kids.
I'm thinking about my kids. Come on, somebody. What up, True Tellers? I'm Willie Moore Jr., and this is one of the biggest nights of the year. Blow the horns. Make some noise all in the room. Come on, y'all. Woo-hoo! Family, it's New Year's Eve, and you know, typically on this day, many couples propose in Times Square. Or they do something big and splashy for Instagram so everybody can click like. Maybe you like this hat, or maybe you might not, but I'm telling you, I'm gonna get rid of it in a minute. Come on, somebody. And then, of course, let's be honest, there are those bare bone proposals via text message. Baby, you wanna get married, yay or nay, with no ring? Come on, fellas. We got to do better. Tonight, we are going to ask, is romance actually required for a healthy relationship? Also, doesn't matter if it's the man or the woman getting down on one knee. This discussion is about to get heated. So don't miss this episode of Truth Talks, Flat Out.
And welcome to our show, fam. I'm your host, Brian Cameron, and I'm here to fill you in on all the latest buzz in our community, as always, as we on this New Year's Eve, sharing the mic with my man, Willie Moore Jr.
So just a minute, let me go get the WMJ hat. He'll be back soon. But right now, it's all about New Year's. I'm Willie Moore Jr., and I'm happy to be here.
And of course, we got Bree Renee straight from the A.
Hey, y'all. You already know. Welcome to the Bree Hive. And happy early New Year's.
And Dr. Viral, Dr. Cheyenne Bryant.
What's up, Doc Squad? That part. I'm here. Psychology expert, life coach.
That
Happy
blow was
freaking New
weak.
Year's Eve. Don't wait.
That was the Timu horn. First, let's kick it off with some hot tea fresh out the pot. Go for it, Bree.
Yeah, you already know it's New Year's Eve, and people are already talking about their New Year's resolutions. But rapper Hitmaker done lost his damn mind. All right, he had the nerve to post a PSA for women on his Instagram saying, "Leave the wigs in 2024." And not only am I, but thousands of women are in their feelings about it. Do y'all think that men should leave their opinions about what women do in 2024?
No. Keep them eyelashes going.
I knew you was gonna say
Oh,
that.
praise the Lord. Listen, I'm gonna always have something to say. To this day, going in 2025, still don't like a bald-head-eyed woman.
Okay.
Put them on, fly away, I'm gonna come kiss.
You know, the other day, we were going out to dinner for my birthday, and Patty Cakes put on some eyelashes, and she got in the car and started batting them at me. And I was like, oh, that's what Willie's talking about.
Yeah, you felt seduced, didn't you?
That's
You
what
felt
Willie-
it
so,
in your shot
yeah,
or
and sha-la-la and the sha-na-na.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey.
I think that men only tell us what you like. You don't have to tell us what you don't like. You know what I mean? That's how you dig yourself into a rabbit hole.
Yeah, I like a man that tells me both. If it's something that don't work for him, then let me know. Because if you the man that I'm trying to please, I want to do what works for you.
I'm kind of like Hitmaker. I like some of the wigs, but I just never seen so many young girls with like wigs on. They be going to high school with like wigs. Like,
Yeah, high school is really young. I wasn't even allowed to wear weave in high school, so I think that's a different. But I think that celebrities and even the stripper culture have made it more accessible to everyone, the everyday girl. And you like to switch it up. I like wearing wigs and switching it up. But on another note, what are y'all leaving in 2024?
What I want to leave in 2024
Keep
is
it
me
PG.
being more free in my sexuality, shut up, Ryan, and me actually not being so stuck on this no casual sex thing, because although I think it's good for the value of me wanting a family, I think it doesn't work for the value of me being fulfilled. It's been a long almost year, and I need to start being more free in being okay with casual sex, and I don't care what they think
You
about
need
you.
your
You're not
horn to
giving
it.
up.
Why you lying to these
She
people?
needs
You're a lie. She's thirst trap. She's thirst
Blown
trapping
out.
Yeah.
y'all. She's not
Yeah.
doing nothing. She'll stick her foot in the water. As soon as it's cold or hot, she'll be like, I was just playing.
I was just playing.
I was just playing.
I think she ready.
Come on, Bree,
I
on my
think she's
back.
ready. So I'm with you. Lead that in 2024 and
I
live
believe you get
life
married
on the
in
edge.
2025.
Yeah.
Listen, my best friend said, and I'll tell you this right, he said, he's 65. He said, Shy, you act like you only got 100 strokes down there, and then that thing dies out. He said, you know it's unlimited, right?
What are y'all leaving?
Brother Ryan.
I'm just trying to make more deposits and fuel withdrawals.
Okay, I like that.
You know,
that's
trying
cute.
to,
That's
trying
gonna be my
trying
motto.
to get that cake.
Yeah.
I like it.
I'm leaving all shame and guilt in 2024.
Okay.
I'm no longer apologizing for anything that I've done ever in the past. Like my codependency in 23, 24, like I'm just so sorry I'm doing this and that. I'm like, yo, we got to be free from it. So I'm leaving guilt and shame in 2024. I won't be there no
love
more.
that. Yeah, I thought
No,
about it
no
too.
shame.
I'm gonna leave people pleasing. I'm leaving fake friends, and I'm leaving the fact of disappointing myself in fear of disappointing others.
Okay, I
in
like that.
2024.
I like it.
So,
You
yeah.
better.
She thought about that.
Sorry, I
like
just
it.
get excited when Bree start getting into her strong woman.
You feel me?
Sha-na-na, okay?
Hear me roar.
So moving on to singer SZA. Now she's making her acting debut next month in a new film called One of Them Days, starring Keke Palmer. Now, the movie was scheduled to hit the big screens on January 24th, but they pushed the date back up to January 17th for Martin Luther King weekend. Now, the shift was made to take advantage of the 4-day holiday weekend, which is a huge weekend for all things movies. Where no other comedians are currently slated, this is a beautiful opportunity for this amazing artist.
So the TriStar Pictures movie is produced by Issa Rae and Keke Palmer, and SZA play best friends. The movie is about a boyfriend that has blown their rent money, and the friends and themselves find themselves going to extremes to avoid eviction. So do you think that artists becoming actors are taking jobs from aspiring actors? Because, you know, they like to put us as crabs in a bucket for 2 or 3 little roles out there in Hollywood. What y'all think?
Oh, you know, as an actress, it's something that kind of hit close to home when I was thinking about it. Me and my friends that are actresses, we don't get upset that they tend to go to big names like SZA because we know big names drive the box office. But the issue becomes, you already know as a producer, you already know you want to put a big name in that place. Stop making everybody across the country bust their butt to audition for something you
Right.
know who you want already. Just pick that person, secure the deal. Don't waste my time with it.
Yeah, and let me say this too, because Issa Rae is my girl, and before that, Issa's not the one that just goes for the big names.
Yeah.
Because I've done a lot of TV, but I haven't been so much on the big screen. When I say big screen, I mean like in a movie
Movies.
theater, right? Okay. And Issa's team hit me up quick. They're like, Doc, we want to partner with you. We want to collab. We want to do it from anywhere from scripted, non-scripted. We want to work with you. So my point in saying that is, Issa Rae is not the woman who's only looking for the big dog. She's actually that one black woman, you know, from my city, Inglewood, Los Angeles, who is looking for the person who she can have grow into a space of being bigger. And that's one thing I admire and love about her. She's always looking for who can be the next EP with her, the next producer with her, and the next it girls. We're actually in talks of now getting a collaboration agreement together to see where we go and how we do it. So shout out to Issa. She's the bomb for that.
That's the best thing about it, when you got somebody who's made that kind of money and can bring their own
Other
table,
people
you know.
up.
Yeah.
But this goes back to, I remember like Aaliyah and DMX with Romeo Must Die and
Oh, I
Tupac.
love
They
that
always, you know, when you're trying to sell these scripts and trying to get these movies made, they always like, all right, who is it that's going to put butts in the seats? And I
Absolutely.
think that's the same thing that's true with this. I mean, Keke Palmer is on fire right now. I
Absolutely.
mean, she's everywhere and she's got
She is.
an accomplished career. And
So
to
is
have
SZA.
SZA, you got, that's what I'm saying. And she's getting ready to open up for, you know, Kendrick Lamar. They know exactly what they're doing. As we go into the inauguration of Donald Trump, we need to have as much black stuff as possible.
And
Because that's happening on the King holiday. Don't forget
Some
that.
fun and laughter.
But please let's not forget, these artists really do sometimes do the work. It's not just about the
We
name.
do.
Like I don't want anybody to think that just because they're artists that they're not taking these acting classes, that they're not pushing forward in their craft. I know plenty of people who have definitely made that transition and have become extremely successful.
Yeah.
Shout out
Some
to
of them, Willie, some
Will
of them,
Smith?
Willie, but some of them don't. And some of them go in there and lean on the fact that they are a star, that they are a big name, and they don't know their lines. They get the role because of the name. But I'm saying once they show up, the talent doesn't always transcend into the screen or onto the script because they lack the training. They lack the integrity for the work.
Yeah,
So not everybody.
But a lot of times in the entertainment industry, it's face and name recognition that makes the money. And so if somebody comes in who
sure.
has more talent, but they don't have the following, the impact, the influence,
All
we're
right,
not
so
talking about a
boxer
non-for-profit.
Gervonta Tank Davis has shocked the world when he announced he's retiring at the end of 2025. So far, the big puncher has knocked out 28 out of 30 opponents in his campaign. He's set to defend his belt against super featherweight champion Lamont Roach Jr. in Brooklyn on March 1st.
Yeah, Gervonta Davis is only 31 years old, and at a press conference, he said, it's over with. After this year, this is trash. I'm out. I'm fed up with it. I don't care about belts. I'm worried about getting my money and getting up out of here. I have kids too, and I just had a boy. I don't want to have to keep fighting and getting punched and all that. What has happened to, you know, the good old days in boxing? A few months ago, you know, Mike Tyson took that 20 mil for that crazy fight against Jake Paul. Where's the heart and balls that boxing used to have? Now these dudes are tired of being hit. What's that all about? And I honestly think that he might be tired and he might be scared of losing.
No,
so he like, let me tap out
don't think
before I
that's
lose.
it at all. I think that just like the
no
modern
joke.
generation of today, when how y'all make y'all decisions, he has seen what's happened to other boxers. He's seen their Holyfields. He's seen the Tysons. He's seen what happens being punished in the room all the time. And guess what? He wants to be able to grow old with his kids and not, not have to be caught up in that CTE stuff.
Yeah, and he also has matured a lot because he was the guy who was having a lot of issues with crime or with the law, not crime, with the law and baby mama issues. And I'm proud of him that he wants to go and be a family man, raise his kids, and make a whole lot of money. To your point, it is about the money. It provides resources, and that's what's taken to raise a damn family.
Yeah.
So up next, Kamala Harris got plans for the future. So keep it here on Truth Talks. And it is New Year's Eve on Truth Talks, and it's been a long year. Bye-bye, Kamala. She's gone. We're ushering in a new era with Donald Trump as the president. On this show, we've talked about politics that impact our community, like Project 2025, and we held the Georgia president of Georgia Blacks for Trump to the fire. We discussed the economy, book banning. We've been seeing paid to play with campaign money to folks like Reverend Al Sharpton to Oprah. So I'm curious, what are we all expecting to see in politics in 2025?
I think we are literally about to see this country be dismantled in a very calm and subtle way. You got to look at what's happening right now. When Donald Trump is getting online every single day, speaking about what's going to happen, what he's going to do, I just think it's going to be extremely chaotic. There's been a battery put in the back of white supremacy, and I think it's going to be a very, very unique time. But I'm optimistic. The thing is, who cares who's president? At the end of the day, I honor you, I appreciate you, but Jesus on the throne, so I know I'm still going to win.
Jesus is king, and we're going to hold on to that because I'm scared as well. The way we looking is looking like we're going to hell in a handbasket, okay? Not only is he talking, not only did you say like white supremacy has been put back on a pedestal, but also he's talked about erasing the Department of Education. That I'm scared for our future and the children of this nation because of that. He's appointed people like Dr. Oz, who I didn't even know was a real doctor, to be head of the health department.
I thought that was a meme.
No, I think that's the truth. The lady from WWE is over there.
I thought that was a meme.
And then the guy who, I forgot his name, but he had a McDonald's in his private jet is over the Food Administration now. So it's like this is we're no longer gonna have quality education, quality food, and I'm really just scared for our health care. Everything in in our country, I think is gonna be just predicated on a dollar, which it already has been. But I think we're gonna see our communities exploited even more.
What I'm watching really is these tariffs that he's talking about imposing on all of these other nations. You know, Canada brings in $500 billion a year from the exchange, and he's talking about putting these big taxes on them. And, you know, actually they're now saying that the border crisis is the opposite of what's going on in Mexico. They actually have a coin turn on X. It's called Snow Mexicans.
Oh, yeah.
So they're saying that the people from Canada are coming in, taking advantage of all the things that are American now, and the president of Canada is like, yo, if y'all do this, we're going to have to really tax the goods. And Donald Trump said, well, y'all should just come on and be the 51st state.
Yeah, and I predict that in 2025, we're going to see capitalism inflammation. I think as a result of the capitalism inflammation, we're going to see a divide even more between the rich and the poor. I think the middle class is going to become very split. Less of them will become rich. More of them will become poor. I think we're going to see the modern day Martin Luther King Jr.'s, the modern day Malcolm X's. I think that you have organizations like NAACP, Black Lives Matters, and other black organizations that are actually going to have to spearhead and mobilize a lot of people within our community, which we haven't done since the 60s.
And I think that, to your point, I don't think it'll be one or two leaders like how we had Malcolm X had spoke for a mass last group, and then we had Martin Luther King on one side. I think that there'll be leaders in different sectors. So like there might be a black or whoever, brown, whoever it is, leader in healthcare. There might be a leader in like corporation, because I feel like we're also gonna see a lot of racial tension in whether schools or corporations, especially because of the DEI. I think that people are gonna be more freely with, discriminating in the workplace. And I think that it's gonna be people like that to step up and really fight for those rights of people of all kinds in those different areas.
And I think the black community is going to mobilize, and we are going to lock hands and not horns more than we've ever seen. I think that is going to set up the strategy for 2028 when a black president does run, even if it really isn't me, even though I really do plan on running. So I think that all of these 4 years is going to be a direct setup for our community to really advance. And we're going to learn how to build relationships, not only with each other, but outside of each other. I think it's going to be a really beautiful shift, and I'm excited to be a part of it and see it.
I mean, it goes back to the show we had with Nzinga Shaw on here, and she talked about being able to strategize and mobilize. I mean, Killer Mike talks about it a lot, that we need to be able to have a plan because everybody else is planning. Project 2025 did not happen overnight, so it's got to be some Project 2028 that's happening right now.
I believe this. The last 4 years, we all been asleep. African-American people, whenever there's a Democrat in the White House, whether it was Barack Obama, but like when Trump was in the last time, I heard more about politics than I have ever heard about politics. And so many people were strong about it. We seemed like we was getting that unity thing going together, but the moment that we get another leader that's the Democratic Party, we kind of just, we're just relaxing. We have parties at the White House. I think this is going to be a big wake up. The real question, and I'll probably ask you, because we know that your generation is necessary during this time.
Absolutely.
Like, what strategy can be put in place to make sure that the unity actually does happen?
I think, unfortunately, Dr. Bryant might disagree, but I think we need to get some of the active influencers and leaders, the people who have the bigger followings, the younger people, to push certain messaging. So you line these, I would just throw out some names like Casanat. You know what I mean? Who has 700,000 people who are subscribed to his Twitch and just watching him do nothing. You line him up with people who are activists and leaders and people like the NAACP. You give him the right messaging and what the plan is, and he feeds it to his masses. And that's how you get the young people on board.
But even during that time, Kyle was like, I do not do politics.
Right, they try to get her on my show.
Right, they trying to get her on my show, I don't. And like, that went viral. Like, what would be the call to action that could make a Casanat say, damn, this is really necessary?
I think that it's not so much about endorsing a person, but explaining the importance of the policy. So if you teach them, like, hey, if you don't, it's not about you endorsing Dr. Bryant for 2028. It's about this is what's going to happen in your community if you don't speak up and say something. So you get what I'm saying? So
Right.
I think whatever that plan, I don't know what the plan is yet because we ain't came up with it.
Yeah.
But when we do,
But
we don't put a person
But
on
as
it.
my VP, you better come up with a plan. You got 4 years, baby.
But we're going to sit down and strategize.
But it's got to be something that comes from, like you said, the younger generation. If we can get all the TikTok and Instagram and everything else for everybody who's trying to give a relationship advice or talk about all these other things to get an agenda and talk about what black people need to do to try to mobilize, because everybody's trying to get the money and get the bag, but if we all go to hell in a
Well, different than
handbasket, then
man.
what's the use of all being rich and getting nothing? So I would like to see the new influencers, the Casanats and these other people, everybody who has these great podcasts with all these subscribers and all these viewers, give me something that's going to say, here's what we need to do together as a community.
Yeah, but how
Dr.
you mobilize
B.
people, Willie talks about the media being the spearhead of everything, and he's right. I feel like if we can get ahead of that, whether some of us get hired on certain channels or media outlets just for the sake of the strategy
Right.
to push out a narrative where people are listening, it has to be a systemic shift. It can't be an external shift. It's just not going to work
And the
like
people
that.
only get behind things that they truly believe in and
That's true.
understand how it affects them. So you have to pick, the Casanat might not support every single policy
Yeah.
we have,
Yeah.
right? But we have to pick the one that's going to impact him the most. And then
But-
he will
Yeah,
get in
and so
front of
guess
Dr.
what?
B,
I,
but
so
Dr.
I
B,
would send
I
you,
got-
I would send you,
yeah.
Bree, to Casanat, and you go on and send me to the boardroom, and you better come back with Casanat's
Right.
ass ready to run.
But-
to
Or
run the
you
play.
put me
But
on
you have to be
Casanat, I'm
black.
on Twitch, and I'm playing with him, and I'm
Let me
luring
talk-
them
let
in
me
with
talk- let me
ignorance
Whatever you
and
do.
giving them education.
I have to agree with Dr. B in this one instance. I know we don't always agree, but you talked about running black. And that has a lot to do with also speaking the language when you get on these big platforms.
Yeah.
When I was sitting with the senators across this great United States and we were talking about adoption, I didn't come in with this voice, well, I just want to do this. And I'm like, I'm from the neighborhood. It's 323 kids right around the corner right now who don't have homes. And we keep talking about international adoption.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? So when we start talking like we supposed to talk, like sometimes we get this educated fools when we go in these rooms because we want to be seen. It's not about us. So even when you bring in the plan to this next generation, they don't want to hear this corporate talk. When I went back to St. Louis and I'm talking to the mayor, I'm like, check this plan out that I got. Maybe we can take it to the high schools. How about you go in and say, I can turn your $20 rock into a $20 t-shirt.
And that's what I'm saying.
Right?
And
And
that's
I
what I
love
was saying,
that
Willie.
because-
Bring me, I'll go in on with the Casanat, and then we give them the education wrapped in ignorance.
Right, and I love
Yeah,
what
gotta be wrapped.
There's one thing,
I
y'all.
hate you
There's
said
one
it, but
thing.
that's
gotta
what I
be
gotta be
wrapped in ignorance.
Or
It's
just
one thing
wrapped
that
in
y'all
real.
are leaving out. The generation of today, my kids and the 23s and 25s and 26s, they have grown up and they haven't seen anything that is pro-black. It's been
Successful.
It's been just unilateral, right? So between all the LGBTQ, they see everybody as equal. They don't see anything. And if you try to say anything against it, they will give you major pushback. And sometimes I'm almost apologetic by the things that I let slide because I was status quo. And we saw that, I don't care if you don't like it or not, seeing what Donald Trump has done has made me question what Barack Obama didn't do.
Yeah, and I want to, no, 100%.
That's
And
so good,
I
man.
love what you said, Willie, about coming in there and being black, because I always say that my title and my education speaks to people's mind, but my experience of being a little girl from the hood speaks to their heart. And when I speak to their heart, I have a friend for life. When I speak to the mind, when the memory goes, there I go. And you're absolutely right. Our people want to hear us say, listen, I may be Dr. Brian today, but 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, I was Cheyenne from the hood. I experienced teenage pregnancy. I'm a product of teenage parents. I'm a product of a street daddy. So everyone in that room who doesn't understand policy, doesn't understand that they can relate to me in my heart, and then we pull them in, and then we start to teach policy and teach them why it's important, how I was a them and got to where I'm at. Because there are two things that people see. Either they see themselves in you where you are, or they see themselves in you where you've been, where they want to be. Yeah, and it's very
Before
important.
we even think about who should be the Democratic nominee in 2028, right? We know who's one of them, there needs to be some tough conversations about what Democrats represent as a party and find a way to stop moderate folks from turning to the Republican Party. So up next, we're talking marriage proposals and the lack of romance in relationships. It's the end of the 2024, and we ain't bringing no foolishness in the 2025. Keep it right here.
Happy
It is True
New
Talk.
Year!
And welcome back to our show. Let's move on to a subject that's going to get everybody fired up. Are grand romantic marriage proposals required for long, healthy relationships? Maybe you ladies been watching too many movies and sitcoms and rom-coms, so take a look at this.
There'll never come a day you'll ever hear me say that I want and need to be without you. I wanna give my all. Baby, just hold me. Simply control me. 'Cause your arms, they keep away the lonelies. When I look into your eyes, girl, then I realize that all I need is you in my life.
Let me tell you who that is. That's Brian McKnight.
Yes.
To those of you who didn't know, before he was a viral sensation talking about his children, he was actually a singer. Yeah. So now, women were going in, I don't know if y'all seen it, but they was going in on my guest David Shands. Like after he admitted that he proposed to his wife with no ring. In fact, he didn't even get down on one knee. Take a look at this. You swiping right, you find this woman, you realize the attributes. Is there a first date? Like,
Yeah, we had a first date. I didn't propose until 6 months later.
how you propose?
I was like, yo, you wanna get married?
Just like that? No knee? No.
I had no ring or nothing. I was like, look, I'm logic. I'm like, yo, I don't know what type of ring you like. So let's go to the.
Where are you?
We
when
were the
you say
K
this?
jeweler, huh?
Where were you? Like you on the couch? You in the car?
I guess we were like playing cards or something. And, you know, we just have a couple drinks and then we just go home. And, like, we left the house. And before we got in the car, I was like, hey, you want to get married?
What'd she
6
say?
years ago. She said, really? And so I was like, yeah. And I ain't had no ring, so I didn't plan on this. But I was like, I don't know what type of ring you like. So we can go to K Jeweler and you just pick your own ring. And you get what you like. So.
Oh my God, the Love You More show lit. Let's get that out the way.
Okay.
But no, David Shands, and he did end up getting her a ring. A really
He
nice
did,
ring.
and I'm gonna say this, Willie, because David is my guy. You know I rock with you, David, and I'll tell you to see your face. I saw it, and I was like, damn, no thought, no effort, no romance. Like, this is supposed to be like a once-in-a-lifetime moment, right? And I think that if you are not prepared for the transition from dating to engagement, it's huge. And I think that when you don't put a little bit of effort or thought into it, it kind of seems like you don't even take it serious.
She married. She got the goal.
They
Right,
did
she
get
good.
married.
She got the goal. She
They
did
did get married. She is taken care of. She lives a great life. They are a sweet couple. I get that. But it's just like, did you really put any thought into it? Or was it just something you thought of like a fly off the hip?
1971, a man named Willie Moore Sr. was riding in a really big Oldsmobile car, stops at a phone booth, gets on the phone and says, baby, I was just driving. She said, what you was driving? You supposed to be driving, supposed to be at work, because that's the way she talked. And he said, what you think about getting married? She said, marry who? She said, you. He said, baby, you want to get married? She said, yeah. He went. She said, yeah, went, told his friend Hank, who's actually a pastor, I want to get married. Said, we can do it at the house. 2 weeks later, they did it at the house with a small ring. And they've been married now for 51 years. I think the romance is beautiful if that's what it calls for, but sometimes it's like there's an urgency for it.
Okay.
I got married. I got married 3 months. Like we dated for 6 months. 3 months later, we were getting married. It ended up being a whole lot bigger than what we wanted it. Like I was just gonna do something.
I think it's
and make it work.
subjective because I've had 2 huge, gigantic rocks in my finger and caught off both weddings.
I know.
And I know, no, I'm just being serious. I know women who either got a proposal and got the ring later. I know women who ring is so small you can't see. There's no point of wearing it.
Right.
And they're into.
Damn, Dr.
That's
Wait,
cold.
but let me get
That's cold.
It's the
It's a ring.
truth. But
Catch that tea.
but I want to say this. But those women with the smaller rings, at least the ones I'm referring to, are 10, 15 years into marriage, very happy and solid, and they got the gold.
But this is
and
what
so,
I'm saying, Dr.
wait a
B.
minute, and let me go this. And then on year number 10, when they got that upgraded ring looking like my rock, but they got the rock, the husband and the family and the marriage. And so
And the longevity.
and the longevity. And so I think it's subjective. Some women just want the ring because they're marrying the
Yes.
idea of the man.
That-
They're not marrying the man. And some women don't care about that and they still get the ring. I was one of them where I didn't care about so much the ring until I got it. I was like, damn, this thing nice, right? But at the same time, we have to figure out what are we really in this for, because some folks on year number 5 or 10 or 3 upgraded, and the ring becomes everything you want, and you're with the person you really want to.
Right. You know, when I was reading books and going through my mental health journey, they always said, what is the one thing that people have always said about you that was the one thing that bothered you the most? And it was always that you weren't good enough. You know, the things that I've done in my career, I always had to step in after somebody else messed up. And that also was true in my relationships, right? So on Christmas Eve, you know, a couple of years ago, Patty said to me, she said, I'm gonna propose to you on Christmas Eve, right? And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And then she asked my kids.
I can't
and
believe you're telling this story.
And then, you know, on Christmas Eve, we were laying up in the bed, and she did not get down on one knee. But it was the first, listen, it was the first time that somebody chose me. It was the very first time that somebody chose me. And I didn't have to put all my heart out there and hope that they accepted me. She said, I want to be with you for the rest of my life. Will you marry me? So it's not about the tradition and getting down on one knee, but it's about the fact that she knew that I was her person, and I had no doubt and no trepidation. I said yes, and I never thought I would have ever said that. I would never thought I would have ever said that, because after I got divorced, I said I will never ever get married again. So to everybody that's out there listening, and you say, you know, men would never do that or whatever. If the right person comes along and they complete you and they make you feel like, you know, we all got these corners are round, right? she rounds my corners.
Ryan, wait, I'm so happy you told that story because I've been knowing that story and I've been holding it in and couldn't tell
I
it.
told you about
because
bringing that stuff on the
Because I'm a
show.
good friend. I didn't bring it up.
You're right,
But
you're
look,
right.
this is what I'm saying, y'all, and that's a beautiful
yes.
story, Ryan. I
Patty
love that it
proposed to
worked out,
him.
and shout out to you, Patty, for stepping outside the box. This is what I'm saying. It's not about the ring size to me. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the thought
process.
and
Right.
the effort. I want to feel like you actually thought about, like you saw your life, you spending your life with
Right.
me, and it was like, okay, that's a decision that I'm ready to make and stand by, and a commitment. Because if you just fly by night, be like, hey, you want to get married? You might change your mind in
Right.
60 days, 90 days.
different personality
Wait,
types,
Ryan,
too.
I gotta say, because I know you're finna take off somewhere else, but listen.
Be sure about
No,
me.
I honor Patty for doing that.
Yeah.
Because Patty said, I want this man. I ain't want to lose this man. He ain't going nowhere. But Patty, sis, you know we sisters now. Girl, I ain't proposing to no man, but I honor you for doing it, girl. I honor you.
So we know that expectations have gotten out of control when it comes to proposals. And, but all of these over-the-top romantic gestures look a little staged and orchestrated. So what about the young man who can't afford the helicopter and the 1,000 roses and the beautiful suite in the Bahamas just to propose? This may surprise you, Bree, but research now says these days many folks decide to get married during conversations with their partners rather than the lavish proposals.
Yeah, and I kind of am against the that lavish proposal because I feel like all of those have gotten to be
almost
so
for show.
copy and paste.
Right.
It's no authenticity,
Right.
and that's what I'm saying. It's not about how grand something is to me. It's about how authentic, how thoughtful it was. So it could be just a small gathering at dinner or something like that. It doesn't have to be grandiose. It has to just be intimate and really thought about and true
And
to
it does
who
make
we
a
are.
difference. My first fiance proposed to me at a beach where I grew up in San Pedro. It was just him and I only. I had no idea. When I say no idea, none. I was actually talking mess. He's sitting behind me. I'm like just going on a rampage. And then he is like on a rampage.
Going off.
Going off.
Really?
Yeah. So because he's like, what if I married you? What would you think? I'm like, if you marry me, you better not. You better. He put the ring in front of me. I said yes. The second fiance shut down the entire sports bar that we met at with like 200 TVs of a song and a video playing of us, a whole cake, a whole family. So two different proposals. Both were very meaningful. Both were very meaningful.
Dr. B, I gotta ask you this. Like, why can't we let go of the superficial expressions of love and focusing on putting thought and effort into the actual marriage? The proposal is just one freaking day. One moment in time. A marriage is supposed to be forever. Dr. B, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I just really think that, again, people need to figure out if they're in it for choosing the marriage or the person. When you're choosing the person, a conversation a lot of times is good enough because you want your person. When you're choosing the marriage, you're choosing the glitz and the glams, you're looking at it for momentarily now. You want all that so you can show people, look at me, look what's going on.
Right.
But you get to a point where, like me, I'm going to choose both. So, yes, I still want the rock. But if my man has a conversation that says, I'm thinking of marrying you, what ring do you want or what size, I'm totally okay with that.
The proposal is
I'm
just
totally okay
one
with
day.
that.
Forever is going to be every single day. So we got to talk about that one day forever. So just make
All right,
that one
we
day
get it.
special.
Coming up.
I'm gonna tell you
Coming
what
up.
happened when we come back.
When we come back, we're going to get into it. Should women propose to men?
Hell
You
no.
already know how I feel. You
Unless
don't want to
you're
miss
petty.
this when we come back. And we're back on True Talks. Traditionally, men that propose marriage to women, but today that's been flipped on his head, like I'm about to flip this table. We've all seen the viral videos of women down on one knee, something I'm not into, but proposing to the dude, and he's looking like a deer in the headlights and ready to run off screen, and folks lose their mind in the comments. Now, of course, my wife proposed to me, and I've shared that story. But I want to ask you, Bree, I know you have some opinions on this.
Yeah, Ryan, I love the way that Patty did it. If you're gonna do it, I think it should be done that way. But I would rather swallow every grain of sand on the beach through a straw than to get down on my knee and propose to a man. And if I ever see my homegirls do it, I'm gonna say, girl, get your ass up there. Like, it's just cringy. I think that, like, you should leave some things to the man. Maybe you have a discussion and say, hey, babe, I think I want to spend the rest of my life with you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Let's do this. Like, what do you think about making it official? Yeah. I'm fine with that. But doing the whole getting down on the knee, it's just not becoming.
I'm
It's a
not-
little
yeah.
emasculating.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is emasculating.
But-
and then
but
he's sitting
now
there like, oh.
He better not. He
better not do
respond
that,
way.
Bree. He can't do
'Cause
that.
then it might be another Neo clip, but God is good. But I want to ask Ryan.
shade.
I say, Ryan, you have literally shifted my trajectory on it, because the Bible says that he who findeth the wife findeth a good thing and obtaineth favor for the Lord. But her understanding your heart posture, right? Like, I ready to fight. Like, come on, Ryan, man, you know that ain't.
Right.
But when understanding that, I realized that what she did was she completed something in you that was necessary for this next level. And I've seen your life go
was like
to
that.
another level since you came with Patty.
Yeah.
I was privileged to see you go through the ebbs and flows of that divorce and then come back in the field and then figure it out. And I was like, uh-oh, he done met somebody. His skin got lighter, right?
He glowing.
But it's also important to also know this, that there are different personality types. In the DISC assessment, you have the D personalities. These are the strong, driving personalities. If they're on the plane, they're actually the pilots. These are the people going to take you somewhere. They're going to make strong, aggressive movements, kind of like some of the things that you like, because you guys are actually strong D personalities. Then you have the I personalities. These are your stewardess, your flight attendants, if you would. We're the gregarious people. I'm going to hug every baby. I'm going to do everything. But we are sometimes teeter-tottery in how our approach is, because we have different issues on the inside of us. Then you have S personalities. These are the supporters. These are the guys that you may run over, though, because they don't necessarily have a vision, but they're going to be really good to support you. And finally, you have the C personalities. They're very analytical. They dot every I. They cross every T. If we're in the airport, they're going to be air traffic control. And here's the thing, nobody argues with air traffic control. If they say what's going on, this is truth, this is facts. So when you're dealing with these types of people, you're going to get different types of engagements, different types of proposals because of their personality types. So for an I personality, for me, I'm going to be pretty much grandioso, right, in my approach, but I might need your help when it comes to the planning of it all, because I'm not really that good. So for me, my first proposal, me being an I personality, all about feelings, loving and making sure people feel good, it was the last day of my ex-wife's being in her home where she grew up, because her mama was selling their childhood home. And I came over and I said, you started your dating career here and you're going to end it today here, because I want you to be my wife. I get on one knee. I didn't get the chance to hear her say yes, because her auntie and cousin, they all fell, and I'm little and my legs is in the air and it didn't look masculine at all. I was like, God, no. But she said yes, and that was a moment. But here's the thing, wasn't really good with like planning a wedding, but she was a C personality, so she was really good with that. But she ended up being mad at me because like, you should be more involved here. I was like, now listen, I'm not good at that part, but we didn't understand.
But I think it's subjective though, because you have some women, you got to understand where somebody comes from when it comes to a woman proposing to a man. Some people are coming from a deep traumatic background. Some people are coming from a place of divorce or marriage or despair. That doesn't mean they're desperate for the person, but there's a despair in them that comes up, and they meet somebody who's able to really help them through their trauma journey and go through certain things. And that particular woman may see it as her proposing to a particular man in a way that says, this is not me being desperate for him. This is really me saying, I'm so grateful for the person you've been in my life and the role that you played, that I can't see my life without you. So I don't need to wait for you to take that edge or for you to take that leadership in it. Doesn't mean that man wasn't leading her to begin with. Sometimes, although I would never, with you, Bree, propose to a man, sometimes that woman doing that is saying, because you've led me so well.
I can take
and you
here.
put me in such a safe space. And because I feel so vulnerable and okay with you, that I can be in this vulnerable space with you.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make her feel disempowered. It doesn't make him feel emasculated. It's actually kinshipping him in her own way. And in return, that man says, I want you back.
What happens a lot of times, though, man, because of all the pomp and circumstance with the proposal and the roses and the weddings, is that sometimes people cannot say no when they know it's not good. They know they should not go down the aisle. I have a very good friend, and I don't want to say her name, but she was getting ready. She was in the limo, and the mother of the groom knocked on the window, and she rolled the limousine window down, and she was like, "Don't marry my son." She was like, he's not gonna be good. He's not ready. And she thought that she was trying to hate on her, and she went ahead and went through it, and they were maybe marry like maybe 5, 6 months because the mother was trying. A mother knows her child.
Yeah.
And she was like saying, do not marry this man. He is not going to work out. But she was so into the wedding. It was in one of the biggest churches in Atlanta. It was the roses and the violinists and the praise dancers and all that. She could not back out of it.
Yeah, it was like the wedding of her dreams.
It was a dream wedding, and it turned into a dream night.
And even to your point, like 2 things you said, like if a mom is telling you that her son is not ready, you better listen because most of the time a mom is gonna take her son's side and lie for him. So the fact that she's trying to steer you away from it is a red flag. And then 2, like I always said that too, like if a guy had the courage to get down on one knee and propose to me in front of all my friends and families and do all this amazing things, even if I didn't think he was the one, I would say yes in the moment and then call it off privately. Yeah, just to save him the embarrassment because that's sad.
And I think like Ryan said, people have to notice when to say no.
In front of a nightclub. In Club Excess, in front of 3. I was engaged. I was engaged 3 times.
That's so Atlanta.
I was in 3,000 people, and it was 2:00 in the morning, and I got on one knee and said, "Will you marry me?" And she said yes. And we went to the engagement party, and all of her friends was like, "Man, she gonna run you. She's gonna be something different. I hope you ready for what you go." And I ended up breaking up. And canceling and it was the most traumatic thing because I had never done anything like that before. But I was like, this is not going to work. And in front of all those thousands of people, I had to come back on the radio and be like,
so about that.
I thought you was gonna say after that y'all went to Waffle House.
I
had a candlelight dinner.
I did. No, so my dad, I remember I was just about to go to the wedding. Everybody's at the church. It's only about a mile down. Like in St. Louis, everything is pretty compact. I'm sitting there, and he's like, "You all right?" And I was in the room. And I was just sitting there, and my dad said, you know, I think this is a little early. Because I'm like 25 years old. I'm 26 years old. He said, I think this is a little early. I said, you think this is early? He said, now listen, I don't want to disrespect you because I know how you can get. But he just said, man, I think you picked the right woman. She's a good woman. I just think you've got her at the wrong time. You don't even know who you are.
Wow. Absolutely.
You just got a little money in the bank, but you don't know what's going to happen. He said, but listen here, man, if you want to get married, hell, let's go down to the church and do it. But if you want to stay here and have your little black and mild, hell, I sit outside with you and I run up there and tell them people that we can't do it. What you want to do?
I love that,
and
Dad.
I said, well, Dad, I'm going to go ahead and do it. All the people up there now. He said, well, hell, let's go get married. It ain't like jail.
Yeah.
You can get out.
You can get out if you want to.
Yeah. Maybe, just maybe, I'm traditional. And old school just a little bit. But something about that visual just don't look right.
Right.
This the last stop on the male-controlled train. Ryan, do you find it emasculating?
Yeah. I don't like anything about this picture at all because, first of all, he looks very, very surprised.
He's like,
he looks almost like it's a pressure. And I think it's something like Dr. B said earlier. It's almost like if he ain't going to ask me to marry him, and I'm almost like I done gave away. A lot of times they done had kids. They've had all, and she, look, now she with child.
That's terrible.
That's not a
She's
good
like,
look.
please don't embarrass me. Please take this ring down. That's what it's saying.
And some people just need to know when to say no. I think men need to know when not to propose, and women need to know when to say no.
When to say no.
When to say no, because that's why the divorce rate is high, in my opinion. Ryan, there's men who are in very high positions wanting to marry me now, and I've been good enough with saying no. And you know that. But listen, y'all, surveys show that 70% of men would be okay with the women proposing to them.
That's disgusting. I think it's men being lazy. Dr. B, you said you were engaged twice. Would you have asked either? Well, you said you wouldn't ask nobody to marry you. I know she's not. I know she ain't asking him nothing. But I will say this, we were talking about the grandiose of weddings. I have heard that the bigger the wedding, the shorter the marriage. So I think that it's not about how much something costs or how big something is, but how meaningful, thoughtful, and intimate it is.
And I want people to start choosing the person and stop choosing the idea and stop choosing marriage, so you can really have a real relationship with who you're with and learn who they are, so you can know who you're choosing, but you can also know who you're not choosing. That's important, to get a sense of self, because until you know you really won't know anybody else.
I'm gonna elope.
And I like the fact that a lot of men out there are watching their wedding videos backwards because they end up happier walking out of the church. So
Damn,
up next,
Ryan.
coming up, we're about to get into that part of the show where we help you navigate your relationship in life. You don't want to miss this on Truth Talk. Roll that tape back. We're back on our New Year's Eve show, and we've asked our truth tellers to send in their relationship questions. They're afraid to ask, so our crew will now share some unfiltered advice. We are ready for Hit It or Quit It!
So here's what one anonymous viewer shared. They said, my ex often hits me up when him and his girlfriend break up. Now, I'm not interested in him since I discovered my desire for women. But his girlfriend found out about us and reached out to me. I told her we're just friends now, and I was currently more into girls. We ultimately trauma bonded, and I thought she was pretty cool. So I offered her to go out to dinner, and she accepted it. Should I actually be petty and take his girlfriend on a date? Mrs. Steal Your Girl. Signed, Mrs. Steal Your Girl.
You
What
know
y'all
what?
think?
I'm not even gonna lie. They've been trying to make me gay and a stripper for the past year. So let me just say, they have all the blogs. But listen, if I was a lesbian and my ex-man is calling me and he got a girlfriend, I'm damn sure taking her out to dinner. Reverse Uno. You shouldn't be on my line while you got a woman. Yes.
Okay.
I'm taking her to dinner.
So you gonna hit it?
I'm gonna take her to dinner and hit it.
Okay.
You know, hardest thing
Hit
for
her.
me is just my inner Norris. Like, you know, I can't repay evil for evil. I got to repay evil with good. So
You
I
are
was
so noble.
So I'm kind of gonna just let that. I'm gonna let that be. I leave her and him alone because evidently there's some dysfunction in both of them.
Yeah.
And so when it's too crazy, my daddy told me this all the time that if it's 2 or 3 fools in one room and you go in and
They don't
hang
need
out
an
long
extra one.
enough,
You gonna
guess
come
who's
out.
gonna be the fifth? You.
Yeah.
So I would get rid of that. I would just stay away from that dysfunction.
Yeah, I'm totally saying quit it because to me, with all the stuff that's going on in the media and everything else, it sounds like a setup to me. It sounds like, you know, and see if she gonna do this and see if they're gonna entertain us. And next thing you know, you got somebody walking in the room with some cameras and stuff and you looking real crazy.
I think that it really, at first I was like, it kind of depends on how fine she is, like how fine they both are, like what it looked like. But then I started thinking about it. I think she might be trying to get you to come back so they can hit it. You get what I'm saying? Like the girl is going out for, the girlfriend is trying to get you to come back so
Trying
they
to
can
kneel
have a
that thing.
threesome.
Well, in that case, I would quit it because I don't do nothing 3 ways, always 2.
Or just hit it and then quit it. So you got you something and then you got your get back. I don't know.
Listen, if I take her to dinner, she gonna be my bitch until I
You know
send
it's
her
still
another
the same
way. I'm
word
not
when you
doing
spell
that.
it right.
Yeah. Yes. How are you arrogant enough to think that I'm going to entertain you while you and your girlfriend are having issues? So because you're that arrogant to think that, we're going to reverse Uno this. Now we at dinner. Y'all do what you want to do to Willie's point in your dysfunction after I show you and give you a taste of your medicine.
Maybe-
I don't
But
like
she does say in the letter, every time they have problems, they come
He
back.
calls,
So
yeah.
obviously she's answering.
Yeah, she is.
At least it only take once or twice and
Or no, sometimes dudes talk to themselves in them text messages.
Hello,
they
in them
just
voice
hit,
messages.
Yeah, in
Maybe-
them voice messages. Sometimes
What does
they
that
will
mean? Yes. What does that
continuously
mean?
hit you up. They hit you up, hey, beautiful, hey, you know, we on, can I talk?
And you don't
please?
never respond.
Happy birthday,
Text after
Merry
text and
Christmas.
message after
I
Good
was
morning,
just
Queen.
thinking about you. You
And
know,
you
it's
never
Mercury
respond for
retrograde
months.
and Mercury getting micrograde.
Yes.
So I thought about when that
Yes.
time you look good with your
Yes.
grades. They hit you up doing all that, and then you
And
ain't
you
never
never
even
respond.
got
They
to
talk to
respond.
themselves.
And it's just like, okay, you just flickering
Yes.
of just nonsense. So you know, you don't have to necessarily respond for him to be coming back every time,
Yep.
but you can tell
But she
by the
says
way.
every time.
But you
What
can
they
tell.
dating?
You can
Right.
tell by the way he's talking or
That they
coming
got
back
an
that
issue.
it's the issue on the other line. Women
Yeah.
got their intuition. And speaking of intuition, I feel it in my sha-na-na.
Your left side,
Am
child,
I-
that's where your Holy Ghost live. I seen what you did. That's where your Holy Ghost go.
I feel it in my sha-na-na,
Hallelujah.
y'all.
Praise the
Wait,
Lord.
did you make me lose my damn train of thought?
You're shana nod, then shana nod.
No, listen, here's the
That's
thing.
champagne for
Hey,
New Year's
let me
Eve.
just- Let me just ask this, though. So they keep on texting, even when you don't text back.
Yes.
Man, these niggas ain't got no
Yeah.
pride
They
for me.
thirsty.
If I hit you 2 or 3 times and you don't hit me back, I get the message. I got to move on.
No, they don't move on. They be so entitled, like I done had it once so I can have it again. I know I could get you back. I
Even
just
if
gotta
they
say the
never
right
had
thing.
it once, they still run the play of texting and calling.
For
and
sure, that's
calling
all our
and texting.
DMs look like. Our
I-
DMs ain't nothing but dudes talking to
love
themselves.
These brothers is, so in 2025, fellas, stop texting in the morning and she ain't hitting you back.
Okay, can we get some New Year's resolutions starting with you, Dr. B?
Mine's is, I'm in my choosing stage, so my New Year's resolution is
More casual sex?
to choose.
I'm with that.
Oh,
That's
sorry, my
it.
bad, my bad.
My New Year's
She blushing.
My New Year's resolution is to finally choose my husband. And
Oh, you gonna choose him and propose?
No. Choose my husband so he can hunt and
I
propose
can't wait
me.
to see you like this.
Prepare for these babies that I'm gonna have with him.
Hallelujah.
And continue to expand my Dr. Bryant Institute empire, my real estate portfolio. But and Truth Talks to expand this here. But the most important, number one thing on my list is I'm gonna choose my husband this year.
Okay then.
For
Go
sure.
ahead.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
For me, I'm going to continue to choose myself. I haven't really done that a lot in my earlier years, and I feel like now that I really am starting to feel like a woman, I want to own that. Yeah, I'm getting that, that womanhood on. So I really want to own my womanhood, just be more of choosing myself when it comes to business, finance, dating. I want to do what's best for me in every way and be a little bit more selfish. I also want to invest more into my career. Like you said, I'm so invested in Truth Talks. I want to see this be #1 on every single platform. So I can't wait to continue to take us to those heights. And I'm thinking actually, because I don't know if I have my husband or if he's coming in 2025, but because I'm getting a little bit older, I'm thinking about maybe freezing my eggs this year.
Okay.
That girl said,
It's expensive, so I need some coin.
I start the process. You're gonna
Frozen
take
egg or
shots.
two?
You're gonna
Thank
take
you
shots.
for
You're gonna take
sharing.
I think I
hormone
wanna
shots.
freeze
They
them.
gonna put
What you got, Willie?
blue dye in you.
New Year's resolution. Since it's Truth Talks, this is my 2nd year of recovery. So shout out to Celebrate Recovery. To those of you who don't know, it is for people who have been through hurts, habits, hang-ups. So I do that
Good for you,
every
Willie.
single week, no matter what city I'm going in.
Proud of
So
you.
I want to continue to do that. Number 2, probably like I'm doing my best to be more selfless and not selfish. And just doing my best to serve.
Well, damn, Willie, shit on me.
Yeah. No, you getting your eggs. You getting your eggs put up. Hell,
No, I want to be selfish. You want to be selfless.
Yeah.
Well, because maybe
That's
you
perfect.
haven't been. I've been selfish.
haven't.
I've been an only child for a while, and so now just really choosing to make decisions based upon what I think is best for all of us versus what I think is great for the moment. And so I'm just gonna be a lot more open to that. Of course, Truth Talks, being able to argue with you guys is always amazing. So I'm good with that. And then of course, want to continue this media brand. We got some big stuff cracking off. So
I'm gonna be the first person to say this on Truth Talks is I'm going to have my vasectomy reversed.
Oh, it's
yeah.
gonna be a little ride.
Wait a minute, and then I'm going to lay down on the table,
Gotta look
and then I'm going to
back.
have my vasectomy reversed, and then I'm also going to prove again that I've been really working on my acting skills because everything I said was a lie. I'm not doing that. I ain't have no damn children. Are you out your
my
mind? I got 4 dogs. Gotcha, and gotcha,
And
gotcha,
got me
and
for
gotcha.
sure.
And your Denzel ain't got nothing
Yeah.
on me. And that's our time for the
you,
night.
Ryan.
Boy, I had him. I
Over
had
you.
him. Hey, make sure you follow us on all of our socials and right here on
was
Fox Soul,
wrong.
YouTube. Good night. Vasectomy
really
reverse.
is not
Y'all out y'all damn
Happy
mind.
2025.
Happy New Year.
Happy
I'm finna say,
2025. Horrible.
Ryan, you really tricked me.
God damn, I took my hat off.